Mercedes maximised the race result in Miami once again, finishing 5th and 6th, confirming the W13 as the third best car in the 2022 World Championship. The Brackley team has gotten the most out of a car that is currently falling short of the performance of the Ferrari-Red Bull duo. In fact, despite being the third car in terms of strength, the W13 is more pressed by the midfield than capable of competing for the top 4. The Miami street circuit has gone to hide the 2022 single-seaters' aerodynamic bouncing issues. Mercedes in particular could have benefited the most from this feature, owing to the scarcity of fast corners where porpoising can limit the aerodynamic load generated by the Venturi ducts. In comparison to Jeddah, Miami had more slow and traction sections separated by straights. Mercedes' Miami setup was designed to minimize porpoising by reducing downforce on the wings. For this, the team brought a new rear wing to Miami, designed specifically for medium-low downforce tracks and featuring sloping Alpine-style side profiles. The Miami novelty package also included a new front wing with an innovative end plate design that makes for a visually appealing flow outwash opening in the connected area. The main plane and adjusted flaps are also new. The new specification wing has also allowed the world champion team to lose weight, allowing them to save a few grams for a W13 that is still overweight when compared to the minimum weight of 798 kilograms. In addition to the aerodynamic updates introduced in Miami, the second power unit on the W13 should make its debut in Barcelona, where it's expected to be able to run at a more intense setting due to the team's development on the engine's reliability. In fact, the new regulations effectively prohibit any work on the power unit for performance gains. Nonetheless, the FIA has granted teams permission to address reliability concerns, which they will undoubtedly use to their advantage in order to increase performance in a way that may skirt the rules slightly. However, Mercedes has yet to respond to media inquiries about whether or not they intend to make changes to their power unit, and the only information available so far is from conventional sources. One thing the team will be looking to address are their performance swings in Miami. In FP2, George Russell was fastest and Lewis Hamilton was 4th, indicating that the team had discovered a winning formula at the Miami track. However, neither driver was able to maintain that level of performance after Saturday, as other teams were able to extract more speed from their cars. Russell claimed that porpoising into turns was a particular issue at the Florida track. When asked about the weekend's performance drop, Mercedes Formula One technical director Mike Elliott admitted that the team was at a loss for words. That's a really good question, and it's a question that we're trying to answer at the moment. I think if you were to look at Friday's running, it was probably the most competitive we've been at any point through the season so far. Between Friday and Saturday, we will have made some changes, and actually those changes were fairly minor, but they're also changes in conditions, and we need to go through all that data, extract as much understanding as we can from that, and use that to move forward over the next couple of races. Elliott stated that efforts to control porpoising are being carried out in tandem with the previously planned performance development program. The front wing updates brought to Miami as part of the latter functioned properly. I think it's important to differentiate two things. One is the normal upgrade path, and the other one is fixing the issues that we're having with bouncing and other things that are compromising the performance. So, the wings that we bought definitely brought us the performance that we were expecting and were a step forward. The experiments we were doing on track, trying to understand the bouncing, we gathered a lot of data. We gathered a lot of data on Friday when we had a strong performance, and we gathered data through the race. And as always, the engineers are pouring through that, gaining understanding. In fact, every time we run the car, we learn something new, and that is the aim of the game. The game is to try and understand the car faster than our competitors. Elliott emphasised that a lot of work is being done at the team's Brackley base to improve the W13. Although at the moment we are on the back foot a little bit with that, there is a huge amount of effort, a huge amount of work going in trying to understand how we improve the car. How do we find that next little step forward? How do we get rid of the bouncing, and how do we get back to being competitive, or competitive relative to the front-running team, which is where we want to be? In terms of addressing their bouncing issues, Elliott believes the team gathered more valuable data at the Miami International Autodrome. The experiments we were doing on track in trying to understand the bouncing, we gathered a lot of data for. We gathered a lot of data on Friday when we had a strong performance, and we gathered data through the race. And as always, the engineers are pouring through that, gaining understanding. In fact, every time we run the car, we learn something new. And that is the aim of the game. The game is to try and understand the car faster than our competitors. Despite the team's current difficulties, some encouraging signs have emerged, at least according to the rest of the paddock. McLaren driver Lando Norris, for instance, believes Mercedes has one of the best cars on the grid for mastering low-speed corners. When asked by the media if he was surprised by Mercedes' speed on Friday's practice, Norris responded, "Not at all. They were what, P4, P5 in Bahrain? They've been strong all year. Just because they have some bouncing, everyone expects them to be terrible. They're extremely strong in slow-speed corners. Mercedes have probably been one of the best cars in slow-speed corners all season. Just no one ever looks at the GPS very well and picks it up." Nonetheless, the Mercedes vehicle has some issues to address. Given that Mercedes began pre-season testing with a more traditional side pod layout before introducing the zero side pod variant, speculation has mounted as to whether the Silver Arrows will return to that original version to make up lost ground. When asked about the situation following the Miami Grand Prix, where Mercedes were once again restricted to the best of the rest positions on the day, Wolff did not rule out a mid-season change in strategy. However, he sees the upcoming Spanish Grand Prix as a watershed moment for the team, as they'll be able to compare data from the current W13 to data from pre-season testing. I wouldn't discount anything. We need to give all of our people the benefit of the doubt. They have produced great race cars in the past, and we believe that this is the route to go. But Barcelona definitely is going to be a point in time where we are able to correlate with what we've seen in testing in February and gather more data. I'm also annoyed by always saying the same thing about gathering data and making experiments, but it's physics and not mystics, and therefore you have to unpick the bones. When asked how close Mercedes is to abandoning the concept, Wolff made the point that the team must first fully understand where they are before making any decisions. I think we're still committed to the current concept, and you need to, because if we don't believe and we give the other one 50% chance, then you had better switch now. We are faithful to the current concept. We're not looking at the lady next door, if we like it more or not, because it's still good. As a matter of fact, we need to understand, before you make a decision to switching on another concept, where did this one go wrong? What is the goodness of the concept? What is the badness of the concept? That is a question you can only respond to yourself, which I would be asking ourselves to get an answer on after Barcelona, because that's the real correlation we have. But then we've got to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, did we get it wrong or not? What Mercedes needs to learn from the Spanish Grand Prix weekend is whether the theoretical performance advantages of the current trim can be translated to the real world. With teams struggling more than ever with the correlation between their simulator and wind tunnel results and what they see on the real track, Barcelona is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to compare real-world data to real-world data, and Mercedes aren't going to waste it. What are your thoughts on the rumours of a new and improved engine arriving in Barcelona? Mercedes have a mixed bag of results in Miami. Will they be able to replicate the pace they showed on Friday? We'd love to hear from you in the comments section below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell button to be notified of future videos.